All right, let's dive in. Today, we're tackling a story that's fascinated people for ages. It's all about family, ambition, and legacy. We're in Genesis 25, a chapter that really sets the stage for, well, a lineage that changed everything.
You know, it's amazing how this chapter, it's like hidden in this ancient text, but it still hits us so hard today. You see Abraham's story kind of continuing, but now it's all about his son Isaac and wow, the drama in his family.
Yeah, exactly. Picking up right after Abraham dies. And man, what a life, 175 years. But before he goes, he makes sure Isaac, his son, gets everything. It wasn't just stuff, though, right? It was about keeping this whole legacy going, this promise passed down for generations.
And they make a point of telling us about Abraham being buried with Sarah, his wife, in that cave of Machpelah. It's like lineage matters and husbands and wives are together in death just like they were in life. That cave, they bought it from the Hittites. It becomes super important, like a landmark for their family being in the promised land.
Okay, so Isaac gets this incredible legacy, and then there's Rebecca, his wife. And they face something people still struggle with today.
Infertility.
Yeah.
Yeah, they tell us Isaac prays to God for Rebecca, and then finally she gets pregnant. But hold on, it's twins. And even before they're born, you can see it, the messed up relationship that's coming.
Like the story says they fought inside her, and Rebecca even gets this prophecy. Two nations are in your womb, it says. And get this, the older will serve the younger. Talk about foreshadowing. You just know this is going to be good.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And then the twins are born. Esau, he comes first, hairy and strong, totally an outdoorsman. Then comes Jacob, holding onto his brother's heel like he's trying to pass him already.
Jacob grabbing Esau's heel, that image is so vivid, you can almost feel the rivalry starting right then and there.
And here's where birthright becomes a big deal. It wasn't just about inheriting things, it was about spiritual stuff, societal weight. The firstborn son, he became the leader. He carried on the covenant with God. Remember that agreement? God and Abraham, all those blessings promised, descendants like stars in the sky.
Wow, so it was way more than just getting dad's things. You inherited a duty, a connection to something much bigger.
Exactly. Now think about what Esau does next. It's huge.
The stew incident, right? I mean, first time reading this, nobody sees that coming.
So Esau's coming back from hunting, totally wiped, starving, and he finds Jacob cooking lentils. And in that moment, weakness takes over. He does something he'll probably regret forever.
He trades his birthright for a bowl of stew. Really?
He's so hungry, he throws away his future for a quick meal. Jacob, though, he's always ready.
Heck
Gets
yeah.
Esau to swear an oath, makes the whole thing official.
It makes you think, was Esau just that impulsive? Or did he not care about the birthright? This has boggled people's minds for centuries. What does it say about us? The choices we make when we're desperate, or we just want something right now.
And here's something interesting. They tell us about Ishmael's sons, how they're spreading out over a huge area. It reminds us that Abraham's legacy isn't just Isaac, it's Ishmael too. It's this big web of connected stories. So many connections, right? And this whole thing, birthright for stew, it starts something much bigger. Makes you think about choices we make every day.
Yeah, for sure. So how do we connect this ancient story to, like, us today in the 21st century?
Well, let's think about legacy. Like, Abraham really made sure Isaac inherited it all to keep the family line going, the covenant too. Even if we're not talking about promises from God, we all have stuff we want to pass on. Values, traditions, even actual things. How do we make sure that happens with the same kind of purpose?
It makes you stop and think, right? What do I really care about? How do I want to be remembered? What mark do I leave on the world? Big questions.
Yeah, definitely. And then there's Isaac and Rebecca praying. Isaac begs God for a kid. Whether you believe in God or not, it makes you wonder, what about when we face impossible stuff? Does thinking deeply help? Or asking others for support? What gets us through?
It's finding hope, that strength to keep going when things are rough.
Exactly. Then, of course, the rivalry between brothers. Esau and Jacob, even before they're born, it's all competition. How do we deal with that in our own families? How do we talk and be respectful, even when we feel that rivalry?
Oh, it's so tough today. Social media, all that pressure makes it even harder to be happy with who you are, what you have. It's like everyone's always comparing.
But maybe the biggest thing we can relate to is Esau being impulsive. How often do we, want something NOW and mess up our long-term goals? That bowl of stew, it looks different for us. Maybe it's buying something we don't need, putting stuff off, choosing comfort over growing as a person.
It's about seeing those patterns in ourselves, asking, what am I giving up for this quick fix? What's my birthright, and is this worth trading it for? It's learning to wait, to think about the consequences down the road.
It's hard, though. Everywhere we look, it's all about instant gratification. Takes real effort to resist that, to make choices that match what we truly believe in.
And that brings us to this idea of God's plan, which is kind of woven throughout the story. Whether you believe in God or not, there's something comforting, maybe even challenging, about this idea that something bigger than us is shaping our lives.
Like, how much control do we actually have? How do our own goals fit in with this idea of a path already set for us? These questions have always been around. Philosophers, theologians, everyone. They still matter so much today.
It's a tough balance, isn't it? Embracing what we don't know, but still owning our choices.
And that's where Genesis 25 leaves us, with more questions than answers. But isn't that what good stories do? Make us think hard, question what we believe, and look for deeper meaning.
So to sum up our deep dive, we've got legacy, prayer, siblings, choices, and this whole question of destiny versus free will.
And we've seen how these things, they're not just in some old book. They're part of our lives now, making us look at what we value, our relationships, the choices we make every day.
So put yourself in Esau's shoes. You're starving, desperate. Would you trade your birthright, your whole future, for that stew?
What's your stew? That tempting thing that could make you mess up your goals? It's something to really think about.
Yeah, it's easy to forget, Get so caught up in each day we miss the big picture. This story, it's like a wake-up call. Makes you think about the choices we make, what they could mean way down the line.
Absolutely. And that's the hard part, isn't it? Choosing what really matters, even when there's all this tempting stuff around us.
Genesis 25. It seems simple at first, but like we talked about today, it's got so much depth. Makes us think about legacy, faith, family, all those big choices, and whether we control our fate or not.
It's like it pushes us to not just go with the flow, but really wrestle with these questions. What's truly important? What are we willing to give up? Are we making our own destiny or just following a script someone else wrote?
It's a conversation that keeps going, even after we're done here. Maybe that's the most important thing we can take away from this.
These old stories, they're full of wisdom, They make us grapple with the big questions in life, help us connect the past to what's happening now.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Genesis 25. Hope it made you think, maybe even challenged you a little.
Until next time, keep searching, keep questioning, keep discovering.